You know when a player walks into a gym and instantly changes the energy? That's Caitlin Clark at Team USA camp. Day 3 was supposed to be just another light practice, some scrimmages, nothing crazy, and suddenly the vibe shifted completely. The phones went off, doors closed, and insiders say one quiet sentence flipped the guard hierarchy upside down. And yes, it all centered around Caitlin Clark. If you followed women's basketball, you know her presence isn't just about points. It's about how she makes the floor feel. Everything moves differently when she's on it. Now, pair that with Paige Bueckers, another generational guard, and you've got a subtle power struggle brewing. This isn't tabloids creating drama, this is elite basketball. Clark didn't storm in demanding touches or shouting at coaches. She simply ran plays, read the defense, and hit logo ring shots as if it were nothing. But in that gym, in that environment, that level of impact is seismic. People talk about starting lineups in minutes, but here it's about identity, about roles, and about who the team naturally bends around. When Clark was on the floor with the first unit, spacing stretched, ball movement quickened, and every teammate felt it. Paige, locked out of that initial rotation, was watching, processing, not sulking, just taking it all in. And that's when the coaching staff noticed they weren't worried about her performance, they were worried about how it affected the room. This isn't just basketball talent, it's gravitational pull. The tension wasn't about ego. Clark isn't out there asking for the ball every possession. She's just herself, and that's enough to tilt the entire dynamic of the team. The staff had to pull aside coordinators, assistants, and officials for a closed-door meeting. Phones off, doors shut, no one was yelling, no one was quitting, but everyone could feel that a line had been crossed. The quiet power shift was happening, and it forced everyone to reckon with it, from the coaches to the players. This is elite-level tension, where greatness and ego aren't the same thing, but the stakes are identical. And for Clark, this is nothing new. She came off a year full of headlines, CBA negotiations, and league drama. Yet she walked onto that floor calm, locked in, letting her basketball do the talking. That's the part fans and media often miss. It's not the drama around her. It's the way she commands outcomes without demanding attention. Every pass, every pull-up, every decision changes the way everyone else moves. And that's exactly what started to make the staff and Paige reassess how roles would need to adapt. This moment, right here, is why people are talking. Not because Clark is flashy, but because her presence forces reality checks. Someone in that gym had to decide, do we shift everything around her, or do we risk leaving our best playmaker on the sideline? That's the question that would define the next phase of camp, and possibly the next era of Team USA basketball. What happened next in that gym wasn't chaos, but it was tense in a way only elite basketball environments can be. Paige Bueckers, who's been the face of college basketball for years, suddenly had to deal with a new reality. She wasn't automatically the primary engine anymore. Clark's presence on the floor naturally demanded attention. She wasn't forcing it, she wasn't flaring for the cameras, she was just playing basketball. And the system responded. Ball movement got sharper, spacing opened up, shots started coming easier for teammates. It's subtle, but in a room full of elite players, subtle changes are enormous. Paige didn't throw a fit, didn't make a scene. She played when she was in, efficient and professional, but there was a noticeable difference. The rhythm wasn't hers, the energy wasn't hers, and for the first time in a long time, she had to figure out how to coexist with someone else commanding the floor. And that's the real story people online often miss. This isn't a social media feud. This is a top-tier program figuring out how to integrate multiple generational talents. It's a delicate balance. Coaches had to step in, not to scold or praise, but to manage dynamics, rotations, and egos. They pulled together assistants, coordinators, and officials for a closed-door conversation about what this means for the team. No one yelled, no one quit, but the questions were massive. How do you structure minutes, possessions, and responsibilities when one player's gravity naturally pulls everything toward her? Clark doesn't demand touches, but she creates them. She reads the defense, makes the right pass, and hits shots that force defenses to rotate in ways they can't ignore. That level of influence can't be coached. It's just the player's presence. And the staff had to deal with it in real time. You could see it on Paige's body language, arms crossed, watching, analyzing, understanding that roles had shifted. She wasn't bitter, she was calculating. That's how elite players respond. They take in reality, adjust, and decide how much they're willing to adapt. And that's where it gets complicated. Because at this level, nobody wants to shrink themselves, but nobody wants to derail the team either. That's the tightrope they're walking. The moment in that gym is almost like a pressure test. You're seeing what happens when a new star enters a structured environment where everyone has expectations of themselves and each other. Clark's impact isn't flashy in a traditional sense, but it's undeniable. It forces adjustments, it shifts power, and it makes coaches and players reconsider every decision. And yes, the ripple effects are already happening. Minutes aren't just numbers, they're statements. Roles aren't just positions, they're identities. And when someone like Clark comes in and tilts the floor, everyone else has to respond. consciously or not. That's what makes this camp so fascinating. You're not watching talent, you're watching influence, psychology, and adaptation all collide on the hardwood. And while fans online argue about who's better, who deserves more, or who's stealing the spotlight, inside that gym, the real game is figuring out how to make everyone work together without losing the edge. That's the chess match happening behind the scenes, and it's way more interesting than any stat line. Clark doesn't care about headlines. She's not playing for likes or tweets. She's playing for the floor, for her teammates, for the system, but the system itself has to bend to accommodate the kind of impact she brings. That's the nuance people miss when they scroll past clips or read hot takes. It's not personal. It's about optimizing talent and managing elite egos, all under the pressure of representing your country and chasing gold. And in that quiet, high-stakes tension, you can feel the weight of expectations. Not just for Clark or Paige, but for everyone in that gym who now has to reconsider their place in the rotation. Now, to really understand why this moment at Team USA camp is such a big deal, you have to look at Caitlin Clark's year leading up to it. She's not just another rookie showing up for her first national team experience. She's coming off a season where every decision she made was calculated, high stakes, and put her squarely in the spotlight. She missed the 2024 Olympic team, didn't make the final roster, and instead of sulking or lashing out, she turned that disappointment into fuel. Her mindset entering this camp wasn't about proving people wrong for attention. It was about showing up, earning her spot, and letting her game speak louder than anyone's opinions. She's openly talked about how much wearing USA on your chest means, how it's the pinnacle of basketball in this country, and she's lived both sides, being cut, making junior teams, and now finally stepping into the senior national spotlight. That context matters because it explains her calm confidence on the floor. Clark isn't forcing moments, she's creating them naturally, and that level of impact shakes up a team used to defined hierarchies. Then there's the off-court layer. This past year wasn't just about camp. Clark passed on multiple off-season leagues, skipped flashy crossover projects, and focused entirely on the WNBA. At a time when other top players were chasing extra income or exposure, she chose to put the league and her game. That drew attention from fans, commentators, and even media narratives questioning her decisions, but she handled it quietly, keeping her focus where it belonged. Add to that the WNBA collective bargaining agreement drama, and Clark was already in a position where her opinions and actions were being dissected publicly. People speculated about whether she might have been part of a small minority voting against strike authorization, based on nuanced comments she made about compromise and ensuring the game gets played. No names, no proof, just speculation. But it shows how much attention she naturally draws. Now, fast forward to Team USA camp. Here she is, a rookie pro, already under the microscope for everything she's done on and off the floor, and suddenly her presence on the court forces a staff meeting. That's a lot of responsibility, and she handles it without bending, without dramatics. She runs plays, makes reads, hits shots, and forces the offense to flow through her hands, not because she's demanding it, but because her skill and basketball IQ make it unavoidable. That's where fans get it wrong. This isn't ego. This is gravity. And for Paige Bueckers, Angel Reese, Brianna Jones, and the other young stars, it's an adjustment moment. You have to decide, do you adapt and maximize what Clark brings? Or do you hold the line and risk underutilizing your most dynamic weapon? For elite athletes, that's not just a game question, it's a professional identity question. Paige didn't walk away from that moment in anger. She didn't lash out. She had a conversation with a coach, quietly stating, "I'm not here to be a mascot, I need a purpose." That's a fair, professional, and completely understandable stance. And it highlights the tension inside the gym. It's not personality drama, it's a collision of elite talent, opportunity, and the weight of expectations. Meanwhile, Clark continues to operate in her own rhythm, unaffected outwardly by the shifts around her, just letting the game happen through her. And that's what makes this moment so fascinating. The drama we see online, the Twitter takes, the debates about who deserves more minutes, who's stealing the spotlight, those are distractions. The real story is the basketball reality inside that gym. How you integrate multiple generational talents, manage rotations, and make elite level decisions about who touches the ball, who leads the offense, and how you balance pride with purpose. This is where USA basketball staff has to be thoughtful, deliberate, and sometimes uncomfortable. Managing talent isn't about keeping everyone happy. It's about maximizing the team's potential without crushing individual drive. And Clark, by quietly being herself, is forcing everyone in that gym to confront exactly how they fit into the new hierarchy. It's subtle, it's intense, and it's exactly the kind of high-level basketball tension most fans never get to see. Once you see how Clark's presence reshapes everything on the floor, you start to understand the ripple effect it has on everyone else. It's not just Paige Bueckers feeling it. Angel Reese, Brianna Jones, and other young stars are suddenly operating in a system that's reacting to Clark's gravity. Take Angel and Brianna, for example. In one rebounding and interior drill, insiders say they dominated the paint, controlling misses, setting the tone, and forcing coaches to rethink lineups in real time. It's not just about scoring, it's about impact without the ball being called specifically for them. That's elite-level disruption in a camp setting. The challenge for the coaching staff is staggering. You have multiple players who are clearly too talented to be marginalized, yet you also have a system designed around balance, chemistry, and maximizing minutes for the team as a whole. That's where rotations become more than just math. They become statements. Who gets the ball? Who leads the offense? Who runs the second unit? Every decision sends a message to the players, and with Clark, that message is unavoidable. She's doing what she's supposed to do, running plays, making reads, hitting shots, but her impact forces adjustments across the board. That's what makes her different. You can't coach her gravity, you can't manufacture it, and the staff has to acknowledge it while keeping the room cohesive. For Paige, that meant recalculating her role. She's not pouting, she's adapting, figuring out how to be effective in a rotation where the first unit isn't automatically hers. That's tough, even for a player of her caliber. The tension isn't about personal feelings, it's about effectiveness. It's about ensuring the team can maximize what Clark brings without diminishing the contributions of other stars. And that's exactly the tightrope USA basketball has to walk. They can't ignore Clark's influence, but they also can't undercut the identities of other elite players. You see similar moments in every top-level league, the NBA, WNBA, college hoops, when a new star enters a system that's used to a certain hierarchy. Some adapt. Some struggle, and some situations require staff ingenuity, staggering lineups, creating specialized rotations, or defining clear responsibilities so multiple stars can coexist. That's exactly what Team USA is trying to figure out. No public statements are made, no press releases are issued, but the staff's closed-door meeting is essentially a strategy session for balancing talent, egos, and outcomes. And here's where fans often misread the situation. Social media explodes with opinions about who deserves more minutes or who's stealing the spotlight, but inside the gym, it's chess, not drama. Every pass, every rotation, every on-ball assignment is a calculated move in real time. Clark doesn't need to create conflict, her talent does it naturally, and the staff's job is to make sure that conflict turns into chemistry, not chaos. That's why this camp is so fascinating. You're seeing the future of Team USA basketball unfold in front of you. Young stars are learning how to coexist, veterans are recalibrating, and the coaching staff is balancing ambition with reality. And through it all, Clark remains calm, focused, and unshaken. She's not chasing headlines or trying to dominate conversations. She's just playing basketball. And the system bends around her because of what she does on the floor. Not because of ego, not because of politics. That's the key nuance people miss when they scroll past tweets or watch highlight reels. It's not about flash, it's about impact, influence, and the subtle but undeniable way one player can shift an entire program. And from the staff's perspective, that's both a gift and a challenge. They have a player who can tilt the offense, force defenses to react, and open opportunities for everyone else, but only if the rotations, roles, and minutes are managed carefully. Get it wrong, and the team chemistry suffers. Get it right, and you unleash the full potential of the next era of USA basketball.